Welcome to our podcast, Untangled Roots. Have you ever asked yourself the question, why am I here? Well, if you have, welcome to the starting point of the best part of your life. Hi, I'm Jamie.
And I'm Cassie. Join us as we share our perspective from our personal journey of untangling from everything that we're not. Let's go, truth seekers. Let's dive in. Hey guys, welcome back for yet another episode.
Do that again. Okay, sorry. Go for it.
You're putting that on there. Welcome back to yet another episode of Untangled Roots. I'm Cassie.
And I'm Jamie.
We thoroughly enjoy being your host for this podcast.
Completely, utterly, entirely.
Yes. And so today starts a little journey that we're going to go down. We're going to do a couple fun little episodes focused on celebration and specifically celebrating you, the individual.
Which I think is why we're so excited, because we just did however many on fear, however many talks on fear, and to me this really embodies the heart of what Cass and I love, is what I feel, of celebrating. You embody celebrating so well, but I really love learning about myself. I don't know, that's what I feel like we're excited
Yes, and I love celebrating people.
Mm-hmm.
I love celebrating you. Mm-hmm. Jamie is a very good example of it's so awesome to celebrate things that are not you. Mm-hmm. It's she has so many different qualities that are so beneficial to this world that I could not even touch with a 10-foot pole. I don't even know how to be that. And so when I see you acting out in your giftings and in your qualities, it's how can you not celebrate that? Yeah. A person kind of wants to be jealous almost of other people. And, mm-hmm. I'm sure that we've all struggled with that from time to time, of just comparing ourselves to others. And I know that I've spent most of my life living for other people. And I feel like it's just such a blessing to be able to get to a place where you can look at someone and be in celebration with them, not comparison. Yeah. That's huge.
Yeah, that is far. That's a very big step. And I will say that is how I feel about, I was thinking about it last night, actually. I was and I might have already mentioned it on a podcast, but it's I've always wanted to do a podcast. I've had this mic for years. I've had the setup, I've had the tools, I've had the heart of wanting to share, but it's just there's something about, there's something about celebrating it with someone else, doing mm-hmm. it with someone else, watching you grow while doing it, and seeing how your natural abilities and talents express through this project. I don't know, it just makes it so much fuller. And I'm excited to keep going
absolutely
down. Celebrating each other.
So we are going to be bringing on a guest on our next episode, mm-hmm. and we are wanting to bring in some tools, basically tools on how to learn more about yourself, how to celebrate yourself. A lot of people, I think it's a foreign concept to them. Mm-hmm. What does celebrating you mean? Yeah. Is it egotistical, right? Does it mean that, if you celebrate yourself, does that mean, right? There's all these stigmas. Does that mean that you think you're better than everyone? Yeah. And we're here to tell you that no, it does not. That you can embrace your unique self. You know what I mean? You can spend your whole life judging yourself, being hard on yourself, trying to be someone else, trying to change yourself. Yes, it's good to grow and build skills, but we're talking core stuff. Or you can basically just accept who you are. Yeah. And be okay, wow, this is literally who I am. I've tried to change it for years and it's not changing. Yeah. So
yeah. Which on the last podcast, or some I don't remember exactly which one, but we were saying about how fear attacks what is valuable to someone. Fear attacks the most important parts of our core identity, who we are. That's what I've learned. It's fear has tried to keep me quiet in the areas that are important to me. And so I think this actually times up really well. It's okay, who are we? Now that we have kind of shined a light on fear, now it's kind of Cass said, it's mm-hmm. okay, what are the tools? It's what else do I do besides live in fear? What else is there? What other ways are there to be? And yeah, I think that it's really neat. There's so many options. I have ideas in and of myself, but I'm really, really looking forward to one of the main tools is the guests we're going to bring on, was I learned from this person what it's like to use, I don't know how deep you want to go into it, but it's just like to use the tools to be able to, truly the first part was like seeing myself in such a positive light, because I learned that it's like, okay, if I'm able to see myself in a positive light, that naturally creates my ability to be able to naturally see someone else's positive light. And so anyway, I'm really looking forward to that.
Absolutely. Yes. And so I just thought it would be kind of cool to take a couple minutes to share, like, if you have a story or a perspective on your personal journey, like what brought you to the place of being able to celebrate? Have you always been able to celebrate your differences?
Does something come to mind that when you're asking me that?
Like about your story?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I've kind of watched your journey, and I know that I've had experiences as well. And I guess being able to just like, there's just different, like when we say we're roots, there's like different roots of like parts of our journey that, like, if you kind of look at each one of them and be like, okay, was I walking authentically here? Was this right? Like, if you look at yourself, how you had said that you were the athlete, right? That's what you immerse yourself in. But did you find yourself wrapping that around you as an identity, or did you feel like that was like you were able to shine your full self through that? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You don't have to use that example, but that was just kind of what I was.
Yeah. I was actually reflecting on the athlete part afterwards, and like I was like being an athlete, and I won't go too far down that because it was such a huge part of my life, and it still is to a degree. Like I do still feel like I'm an athletic person. I don't play the sports. This is my new team, honestly, like Untangled Roots creating. This is like our new, like this is like my new team endeavor, because I get to, like, I love the heart of that. But being an athlete was just such a big part of my life, and I put so much momentum into it. And I know a thought will come, because I feel like I'm trying to like answer the question that you posed, but which I'm very, very grateful for that part of me who was an athlete, who was so invested in a certain part. And though I may not have had it all figured out, which I think might kind of walk me into my point, is like I loved being an athlete, and I also knew that there was more to me.
Yeah.
But I never interpreted it as like there was more to me. I always felt like there was missing. And so I think that was the mindset shift that I've learned, is to, like, honestly, looking back, it wasn't about the things that I did. What I did was that feeling. So I was immersed in something. Everyone can be immersed in anything. Like, we all are. Like, we're immersed in those roles. Mine just happened to have been a college athlete, for example. And I loved my teammates. I loved traveling. I got to travel all over the United States, playing competitively, competing against amazing human beings, meeting amazing human beings, like trying all the different stuff. Anyway, enjoying that world. And I also knew that I could keep growing. And so I really, your original question was
basically that it's about the journey, right?
Yes. So, but was I'm trying to remember your actual original question.
The original question was, at what point in your life did you feel like you came to a place where you could begin to celebrate?
I feel like so there was there was no one particular place, is my point. There was no one particular event. There were milestones that I was involved in, like I went to life coaching school, for example, or I've had a really intense relationship conversation, flip those orders, but or meeting people along the way. Like, there was never one event, but the biggest thing was, and now looking back, was that I never gave up on finding the little events.
Yes.
I never gave up on seeking what those meant. Like, now I'm literally, journaling is like such a massive part of my identity, and that was the first tool. I tried sketching first, which is hilarious because I was trying to explore creativity, but like now journaling, like I now know that is a tool that I use, and I have stories and documents of who I was then, where I know the emotions I was feeling, but I'm just now seeing that, like, I kind of have appreciation for how I process, and like the Jamie who wanted to document my life going through, like appreciating that has been the journey of learning how to appreciate myself. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
And I only have that because I started so long ago, and now have all this time to where literally this journal goes back to like 2015. And like, look at this. This thing has been all over the country with me. And this is just one of my journals, okay? This is like the original, like, I don't know. It's so interesting, like the stories that are in here. But like, this makes me proud. Like, this is like...
That's a creation.
Like, this is a creation that I made, but it was all to understand myself.
Right.
That's the point. It was like...
I love that.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that.
Yeah.
And that brings me to, you know, and like I'm resonating here because for me, it's like that is what celebrating self is the journey, is celebrating the things along the way, the growth, the failures, all of it, because we're all going to make mistakes and we're all going to, you know what I mean, fall flat on our face and have some failures. But one of the things that I like to look at is there is no failure. There's only feedback. That's actually one thing I learned when I went to school for my emotional healing, because basically, like, if you can adopt that mindset to where you're not viewing yourself as a failure, you're viewing it as, wow, okay, I messed up. I didn't get that correct or whatever. And then you use that as data and information to what can we do next time to make it better.
100%.
Right?
And that is such a resilient characteristic that I hope that I can pass on to anyone that I know and meet, is that exact thing, is the resilience to being able to hold the good and the bad. And if there's pain or bad, that literally is information. Like you just said, that's information to know that's to know and direct your steps.
Right.
So you're kind of managing your own life, so to speak. And I feel like a lot of times we live with the affect of being like, oh, I have to choose. Like we live in the bad, or like seeing it the bad. But it's like, no, it literally is feedback.
Yeah.
To tell you to direct your path.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like celebration, like just the word celebration, is it's a very special word to me.
Oh, you love it. She absolutely loves to celebrate.
I do. Any reason to celebrate, let's go.
Yeah.
Like, I love celebrating differences. I just love it so much, which is so interesting because a lot of my journey was spent hiding parts of myself that were worthy of celebrating, I guess you'd say, which is super interesting because like I said, I've spent most of my life living for someone else, meaning I had a mindset that I had to do life the same as other people, which I don't even know how I adopted that mindset, but it was almost like, oh, you have to do this, have to do this, have to do this. It was more like have to in my brain, to where it's like now I'm able to look at this as like, well, that doesn't feel good. That definitely doesn't resonate with me, where I can kind of like feel out where I've kind of stepped into someone else's shoes for a series.
Something
Go ahead.
just came.
Yeah.
That I think, so this is me as like, and I'm stepping into like trying to identify like, okay, what are my next roles? So I'm really, really tempted, like I have children in my life, and so I want to be really, really mindful of creating a space for them to where they can step into who they really are. And I'm wondering if that's what people do for people, if like we adopt that mindset, you're like, I wonder where it came from. I'm wondering if it comes from human beings not having the ability or not knowing how to celebrate what they see in other people. Because if someone celebrates something in me, like I'm like, wow, like I feel so special. I'm like, wow, that's so cool. It's like a part of me gets to breathe and like gets life, and it's like gets that positive reinforcement. And I'm wondering if that, I don't know, if there's parts of me that like weren't celebrated to where they didn't feel like there was a good thing or a positive thing to what is such a something that is to be celebrated.
Yeah, and it actually kind of excites me because like when I look at when I was little, the things that I would celebrate in other people, was like, I feel like was things that are maybe things that I haven't discovered in myself yet. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
To where it's like, so art, I'll just use art as an example. Like, I love art, all forms of art. I've dabbled in photography, and that's like, honestly, like, and I've done some painting and different things, but like, as far as like actually expressing my art ability publicly, photography was where it was. But the type of art I'm talking about is like theater. Like, I love like acting and like, right, like that type of thing. Like, when I was little, like in school growing up, like I was in every school play and I would try out for the main character. I still know like some of my plays by heart, like literally. Cute. Like, I don't like Lewis and Clark adventures. Like, I could literally just start rambling off. It's hilarious. But like, that's the kind of stuff that I enjoyed doing is, like, what would you call that? Like an act.
It's really is acting out.
But acting, but like also being like able to make people laugh.
Yeah, it's embodying such a lively energy of life.
Yes.
That is so theatrical and just playful. Like, I feel like it's the dreamscape. This is what I feel. Like, it's like the dreamscape, which you're such a visionary. You love dreaming. And like, it's like bringing that into reality. It's and like, that's kind of like the play pretend.
Yes. Which is super interesting because I also volunteered at the fire department for ever since I was like, 13 years old. Mm-hmm. I would go there and I would work with the EMT students and like be a victim and like get all bloody and gory, and I would act out a injury.
Did you really?
Yes. For years. In fact, my cousin just asked me to do it again. And I'm 35 years old and I'm still
and you want to do it.
Well, you know. You know what I mean? Like, it's just super interesting. Like, that was such a good outlet for me. But what I've learned is that I almost feel like it's like I went to that to cover up a pain. And this is one thing that I wanted to, like, maybe this will be a deep thought to kind of leave you guys with, like, is that if there is pain covering up a true piece of you, it can be masked and it will manifest itself as like an action outward, but it's like actually hiding something true. So what I'm trying to get at is the pain that I think that was hiding behind that acting was this phrase. This is a phrase that I would get a lot growing up, is you just want to be the center of attention. Like, right? It was so negative. Like, you just want to be the center of attention. Attention hog, right? Like that type of thing. Mm-hmm. Where when I was young and I was still developing, like that would hit my system as like, there's something wrong with me, whatever, right? Because like it was not my intention at all to do that. That was just me being me, right? And so my dad would, you know, in his way of showing love, I'd come home from school crying and he would just say, well, I'm not going to tell you what he would say. It wasn't the healthiest answer. But I can see his heart in it. Yeah. And like,
what's the synopsis?
The synopsis. Yes, it would be like in a very healthy way.
Paraphrase.
It would be like, you know what? You're amazing just the way you are. And basically their loss. That's a healthy way of saying it. And so, you know, like it kind of made me feel like a need to fight or like a need to rebel a little bit, because it was like the way he was getting protective over me, he could see that a part of me was being shut down. And it really like Daddy Bear came out, which was kind of cute now that I think of it. But like, do you know what I mean? Yeah. But like basically that specific pain of you just want to be the center of attention, I think that's why I started having trauma around receiving gifts. Anything that would highlight me or celebrate me. My birthdays were literally traumatic. Like, don't even get me started on those. I'm sorry if anyone's listening who came to any of my childhood birthdays. It usually ended with me in tears, like literally. which is not an experience that I would necessarily want to pass on to my kids.
Yeah.
And so I'm grateful that I've been on this journey to untangle that lack of celebration, and I'm learning to celebrate the fact that I'm just kind of bold and just out there, and realize that, okay, I do need to learn to listen, which I feel like I'm starting to learn that, and not just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like be the only one talking ever. So it's like I've been doing self-growth on that to try to learn how to do that, but it's like, it's hard kind of coming out of the hole and like being like, hi, I'm back. Like, you know?
Yeah. Which what came to me is that I think that like those gifts that we get to celebrate are only growth. And maybe this could be a 2024, I don't know. I'm just thinking like, but like growth points of like where to grow. Like we were saying, it's like, because what I heard was you're very gifted in leadership because you're able to embody and like literally like you're such a recruiter. The recruiter just can sell ice to an Eskimo type of person, and it's just like, man. I think when I first met you, I
sold you on something.
Jeez Louise, yeah. But and like with that, like you're very, very powerful, and your heart is for the good. So I think that that's really amazing that you're learning to step into that and celebrate that, and like what comes with the power of when we celebrate ourselves, of like what you get to do and share with other people. Because I've seen you be the amazing listener and love people and like really impact their lives.
Oh.
So I don't know. That just would.
Well, thank you.
I find that process.
So yeah, do you have any closing thoughts to just kind of sum it up?
To sum it up, the one thing that I would say is to let go of the need to find a result as the end all be all.
Yes.
And literally start falling in love with your process.
Amen, sister.
Yeah.
That's so good. It's all about the journey, guys. Seriously.
And it's about falling in love, like following your joy. Fall in love with you on your journey. Like that's, to me, I would sum that up as like the falling in love. It's like, okay, what kind of parts of you do you get to love? And like we said, celebrate. And I think that after our next episode that you guys are going to hear, it's going to be the perfect next step to be able to learn about the positive sides of us. And there's so many other this is just one tool out of the endless, but this is one that has really impacted my life, really impacted Cassie's life. So we're really excited to share that next podcast with you guys.
Yes. And I do want to say, like, this just it keeps coming to my mind, so whenever it does, I just have to say it. So this is me talking about my friend again, Jesus. So basically what I was seeing is that I actually learned how to celebrate myself by learning about how Jesus walked on this earth. Like, if you look at what he did, he lived so authentic. And when he would go to help someone, it like makes me want to cry. Like, he didn't expect anything in return, and he was not one bit worried what they thought of him. He was doing miracles and like all this stuff and like totally living out his like authentic, crazy self, right?
Life.
Yes. And like nobody
could impact him.
Yeah, it was almost like everyone was just in awe, because it was like, wow, this guy is really like solid. And so I feel like I'm grateful to have like someone to learn from, like what would you call it? What do you call that when you learn from someone's walk? Mentor. Well, I guess you could say mentor, but just to learn from. Honestly, like I just totally admire just that humble walk of like, and I feel like it gets so distorted by if people don't read his stories and learn about him. Some people can like distort it a little bit, but like he was actually like pretty crazy. He was kind of a hippie. Like he was a hippie. I mean, he was just like very natural, very like the most loving person ever. And it's like, yeah, I don't know. I'm just super grateful that I am able to like learn from him.
Like that you use Jesus as that, and to emulate.
Yeah.
And being able to mirror the positive sides of celebrating full ownership of self, full ownership of authentic expression, authentic of a way of being.
Yeah.
with the heart to obviously
Yeah.
care and love others.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't know.
No, that's no.
I just,
For sharing.
it's kind of, that's more of a vulnerable part of my journey, but like, I don't know. It's just so important to have an example that you
that's what I
trust.
that's what I was saying. That's what I was feeling
Yeah.
just coming out. It's
Yeah.
like, where is that
Like,
trustworthy
right.
example?
Because if you don't have a star, you know, like how I'm like looking at a nativity scene over here. And I think that's what came to mind, because it's like the North Star. Like for those of you, since it's, you know, it's almost Christmas time, and a lot of people, like the North Star and the story in the Bible was like, okay, they saw the North Star and they knew that if they followed that North Star, that they were going to find that what they had been promised, or like some sort of, right? Mm-hmm. So just like that story in general is like such a great story to apply to life. That what is your North Star?
Yeah.
Where are you headed?
Yeah.
What are your goals? Which I think that we're going to get to that
yeah.
in the new year, where we'll start kind of diving into that more. But I just think that's such a great concept of when you have your sights set on a goal, you can just kind of settle in and learn to just celebrate the way.
Yeah.
So
that was well said.
Yeah.
That was very well said. Yeah, because we can talk about 2024 goals, but honestly, like in my own experience, and then I will wrap up. But in my own experience, without that true North Star, whatever that means to people, which honestly I've learned a lot about that true North from learning about Jesus as well. In terms of how can I connect to my own heart? What actually matters?
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to be here forever. So
right.
What actually matters on this earth, like 2024 is 1 year out of, I'm hoping, I get so many. But that was really, really impactful. So anyway, so that's another form of encouragement. So fall in love with the process.
And find your North Star.
And identify your North Star.
Yeah.
Like dig deep. And those are some really powerful takeaways. So please.
I was just going to say, you'll know you find your North Star when you feel it resonate within your whole.
And nothing can change it.
Like I can feel it right now.
Yeah, nothing can change it. Nothing anyone says can push it over. It's like a sturdy, solid center column of knowing. And I think that's the feeling that I was looking for for a long time, honestly. And so never giving up on that process of finding that feeling within yourself is the
and then you hit the emotions. I'm feeling it now.
Yeah.
So
well,
anyway.
Well, we hope that this really benefited you. Please let us know if you have any questions, or whatever comes to you, and even if whatever part is valuable to you. If you've listened to stuff in the past and you've implemented it, we would love to hear how it went for you. And just be in touch. So either subscribe, give us a like, follow us on Instagram, reach out, and we will see you back here again next week with an amazing guest that I'm very, very excited for you to learn from. So thanks everybody. You have a great week. Bye.